I like how whenever I unpause this thing, when I like start recording, the game audio just decides to take a bit of a fart before going to normal. I don't know what the go is with that, but anyways, this is a significantly larger building than the last one. I'm not too sure what the whole building thing is, what that sort of thing is like here. I'm not too sure what the go is with that, but whatever. To be fair, this is kind of the capital city of England, so it only makes sense for this to be a larger building. But again, I don't think it actually has anything to do with anything, really. I've gone and put the Happy Lover into the deck in place of Crocodilus, because Crocodilus is unfortunately one of those very few Pokemon that is not a toon monster, nor is it's a toon monster. It's not a toon monster, but it is a reptile, which means it actually gets no benefits from any of the terrains at all. And I'd like to try to have a whole bunch of monsters that benefit from different terrains. Not that Happy Lover really benefits, because mountain terrain is not on this board, as you're about to see. But its effect kind of puts it over Crocodilus anyway. Also, Crab Walker strategy. I'm not too sure what he means by that, but again, it might have something to do with the game board, because there are 6 different terrains on this board. On my side, I've got normal terrain. Normal terrain is also on the other side there, where his deck leader is, the Carbonella Warrior. And then in the middle is just a whole bunch of different fields, which will benefit and detriment different things. Which I will probably put in an annotation, because I spent like 3 minutes in my previous attempt at this segment explaining what they all did, and I would rather not do that. Anyhow, we've opened with both Marvelous and Dark Rabbit, which, as we have seen in the previous episode, combined to make Garvus. So by all means, let's go ahead and fuse. Unfortunately, Garvus doesn't benefit from anything other than the forest terrain, so I'm just going to keep him right there. And see what this schmuck has. It's actually interesting to note that he's got a warrior type, which implies... I mean, warrior is his deck leader, which implies that he's probably got a whole bunch of warrior types in his deck. But they're all on the other side of the board, so I'm guessing the impression is to just sort of push me back and then get onto my side of the board, where he will benefit more. But, yeah, not too sure about that strategy. It seems a bit weird. Flame Ghost is not a terrible card here, because when it's flipped face up, everything in C terrain is destroyed. So if I can catch my opponent's monsters in that terrain, I can just sort of screw them over. I'm going to send in this thing as a bit of a trappy sort of thing to try to get my opponent to run into it with something. And unfortunately, Sectarian's not exactly in a position to benefit from any terrain or anything like that, because its only beneficial terrain is all the way over on the other side of the board. For the time being, though, I can put Destroyer Golem on the board and throw him in there, so he'll get a nice little benefit from that. And if he doesn't... Okay, well, he's probably going to send something in to attack it. Okay, Versago the Destroyer is not particularly powerful, unfortunately. But I can still smash my way into it. Alright, so... Now, see, the way that this is working is that I can flip this up and get a terrain boost and attack him immediately, and that's going to do 1500 damage, just straight off the bat. I kind of want to... Because I can also send Garvus in, attack Versago, that's another 1200, so that's 2700 damage I can do in just this one turn. So that could really shut this game down right quick. I'm just not too sure what this face down is going to be. So, I'm going to go for the damage. I see no reason not to. Shorter segments are good, as indicated by the last segment being larger than its raw file for some reason. Nothing much I can really play here. If I had my Wasteland card, again, it would benefit me greatly here, since I'd have a lot more room to maneuver while having my power boost, but that's fine for the moment. I'm not going to complain too much about that. So, keeping the attacking mindset here. I'm not too sure what this creature's going to be, but he seems to want to try to draw Garvis away from the front here. A lot of monsters in here that would benefit from the forest terrain. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send Garvis in against this thing. Because that is a good 650 damage. Except I forgot it's Blocker. Blocker's got a weird ability that prevents the player from taking damage. So that's just like absolutely nothing. Now, I can throw Flame Goes down and just run over the top of the monster that's in sea terrain immediately. I kind of wonder if that's something I want to do. I think I'll go ahead and do it. Flip that up, gets rid of that creature. And if we have a look in the graveyard, we can see what that monster was. It was just a mysterious puppeteer. So... well, I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that pyrotypes are weaker in the sea terrain, so I was going to say if I could at least stay on 2100, I'd be able to just about take the win. But, oh well. The Flame Ghost is just going to sort of chill there, wait until I can summon a dragon, and then I can create Dragon Zombie. And that's going to be 2100 in the Wasteland, so that'll be a nice little extra force to have on the side. Alright, so I'm just going to keep moving Destroyer Golem because I might be able to get myself into a position where I can beat him by surrounding him with everything and stuff. Yeah, there's 3 ways to win a game here. Obviously life points being one of them. If you drop your opponent's life points to 0, you win. The other 2 victory conditions are if you... the little counter at the top of the screen there that says 93, that's the amount of turns remaining in the game. If that hits 0, whoever has the most life points at the end of it wins. And then lastly is if you can get your opponent... if you can box your opponent in and occupy all their summoning spaces with your cards, if they're unable to free up one of those spots but by the end of their next turn, you automatically win. Now, I feel like I'm in a position where I might be in a spot of bother here. Alright. Huh. Alright. Because if he's gonna send his monsters forward, then I can just throw down Thunder Dragon to protect. Otherwise, he might attack into my creatures. And he's gonna keep pushing his offenses forward. Puts his card in defense mode and then immediately gets rid of it. That's a golden strategy right there. Anyhow, let's go ahead and combine my electric type and my dragon type to create a Thunder Dragon, who gets a nice little power bonus because he's in the sea terrain. Attack. That's game. Why would you be reckless and attack with a frickin' monster egg? Not the smartest thing in the world, unfortunately. And the segment is not even 10 minutes in, and we're already done with this match. So you'll see there's a lot of fake traps in there. I believe each slot has a minimum of... I believe each reel has a minimum of 9 squares. So if there are less cards than that in the graveyard, the rest of the slots are filled up with fake traps. Lining up 3 fake traps in a row does not actually get you a bonus card. It's the one exception to that rule. It's basically just the Trollsy fucking card thingamabob. So I've got Blocker, which will be quite a nice card to have. And Fake Trap. Yay. I was hoping to get Carbonella Warrior, because apparently you can get some decent cards if you line up Carbonella Warrior 3 times. Really? Really? I can't say I expected that. I'm actually surprised I didn't notice that, or like completely forgot about that, because that's a really, really stupid thing to say, but it's kind of it's juvenile, but it's hilarious. Okay, I guess in that case, since I don't want to move on to in case it takes frickin' 20 or 30 minutes to knock that over, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw a save, and I can choose to return to the title screen, and then I can just sort of show off the custom duel mode here. I was gonna have to show this off at some point, but basically what happens here is that... Oh, hello. Deckmaster S. I guess the second thing's got a broken as fuck deck. Unless that is... That must just be a good deck in general. I kind of wonder now if I should take the memory card out of that second slot, because I'm pretty sure it's in there. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's definitely there. All right, because it's definitely a PS2 memory card. If it was a PS1 memory card with Forbidden Memories in it, it would actually give you a different deck to play against. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to... Does shutdown work? I'm going to have to cut the segment at this point, so I will return once I've got that sorted. Okay, I got it. Deckmaster K is what we want, because it just makes a copy of the deck that you're going to be running. So, anyhow, on top of just sort of arranging it and, you know, building the deck out of the cards that you've got, you can also change it so that the life points are different. And you can also change up the summon point recharge rate. So, if you bring it up to 12, it pretty much just removes the restriction on summoning creatures just in general. So, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and... I would drop it to 1 life point, but unfortunately the CPU just doesn't play along with that and does not go any lower than 4,000 life points. Which sucks, because that would make for really, really easy wins if I were to draw into one of my Hinotamas. But whatever. I think if we just save... That's probably just saving the deck itself. And then here there's a whole bunch of different maps that you can play on. Obviously there's ones that are literally just all one certain type of terrain, and then there's just weird ones like this. I'm not too sure what the go is with some of these different terrains, but they're all kind of funky and different, and you got to try to work your way around the restrictions that are placed on you with each of these terrains. And then this one's just freaking ridiculous. I'll explain what Labyrinth Terrain does at some point when it becomes more relevant in the main story, but for now, let's go ahead and... Fuck it. Let's just play on the Crush Terrain. So, everything on this game board is Crush Terrain. Which is quite unfortunate, because Crush Terrain literally works the same way as it does... It's basically just Crush Card Virus. That's literally all it is. So if you play any creature that has more than 1500 attack points... Actually, I think the threshold is exactly 1500. If it's at that level or greater, then the monster you summon is immediately destroyed. So, I'm just going to go with my Winged Dragon Guardian of the Fortress, because it's quite likely that... my opponent is either going to sort of short-circuit at the fact that he can't really summon any monsters in this terrain, or, I don't know. It's going to be free wins, basically. I'm doing this basically in the hope that I will be able to get more copies of Molten Behemoth, Because if I can get those, maybe add them to the deck, they might be beneficial. Because I'm not too sure what this thing's normal effect is, actually. Yeah, plus 500 points for all your Pyro-type monsters while it's face up in defense mode. That's really good. And as long as it sits face up, it basically gathers, like... It's basically kind of like experience. It's basically just how that works. And once it reaches enough experience, it gets promoted to the next rank. So... It's quite nice to have that, and it looks like I'm going to be able to show off the boxed-in method of winning, because that's pretty much what's about to happen here. Because it's going to do that, and then I just do this, do that. Yeah, pretty much. Very much one-sided, because the CPU has basically just crapped itself and is just like, oh shit, I can't summon monsters. Whatever shall I do? So yeah, this is the situation that I was referring to. The opponent's deck leader's been completely boxed in. It can't do anything. And if it can't free up any of these 3 spaces that I've got highlighted here by the end of its next turn, then it loses. And it can't do that because there isn't a single card in its possession on the board. So... very much one-sided, and you're probably wondering now, what happens with the graveyard slot since there's nothing in the graveyard? Well, one of the cards that is automatically placed into the graveyard slots is the deck leader itself. Unless the deck leader is just sort of coded to not actually appear in the slots. Like if it was Blue Eyes White Dragon, it wouldn't show up in the slots. And so if there's nothing else in the graveyard, then there just is no graveyard slots. In this case though, the Molten Behemoth does in fact show up in the graveyard slots, and so we've pretty much only got one card that we can really get here. And we missed it on the first reel. Okay, we got it on the second. Unfortunate that we actually got it on the third reel though, because had we lined it up properly, we might have gotten a bonus card out of it. So, that's about all I really wanted to show off there. I mean, I could have made it a bit more of a competitive game, but we're approaching 18.5 minutes on this recording, so I'm quite happy with that. Obviously not much point in doing this again, because it's literally just going to be the same thing over again. I'm going to stick with this until I get 3 copies of Molten Behemoth that I can put into the deck, and then next time we're going to be using those against my Valentine. Not exactly Valentine, but the ancestor of breasts, basically. That's pretty much what it's going to be next time, so I will see you for that.